Welcome to the Angry Nerd Podcast. My name is Arshawn Wade, aka the Angry Nerd. The Angry Nerd Podcast is taped in front of a live Facebook audience from my mom's basement. The Angry Nerd Podcast is brought to you in part by a couple of bad life choices and a few shattered dreams. The Angry Nerd Podcast is made possible by money that my wife gives me for my SSI check, a chick named Joni, and proceeds from listeners like you. If you want to be one of the listeners that helps contribute to this show getting better and better, go to Cash App. My Cash App is $, The Angry Nerd. But wait, we're not glorified internet begging out here at the Angry Nerd Camp. Oh no, we have merch. Pick up one of the Angry Nerd Podcast t-shirts. We have them in, colors black and white for the low price of $20. Now, if you follow me on Facebook, inbox me with your size, your address, $20 plus shipping and handling. We'll get yours out to you first thing in the morning. Otherwise, if you listen to me on Podbean, Spotify, or YouTube, go to customteesbyarshawn.com and let me know in the description that you want a Angry Nerd Podcast t-shirt, and we will get yours out to you as well. Now, tonight's topic, the Black Show. I have just seen so much foolishness in the media. I said, black people have been holding L's left and right. And I come to you today with some very unpopular opinions about some things that have been going on in the media. And we're going to touch on things such as Dante Wright, Kevin Samuels, Micaiah Sanders. I can't remember her last name. Bryant, I'm sorry. Rest in peace, Micaiah Bryant. And also rest in peace, Shock G. It seems like we're losing a lot of legends in the hip-hop world lately. We lost DMX a couple of weeks ago, and now the infamous Shock G of the Digital Underground, a.k.a. Humpty Hump. That is so sad, man. I want to take a moment of silence real quick for Shock G. Moment of silence. All right. Peace and love to his friends and family, because not only the hip-hop community at large took a huge loss right there, but I try to remember that these people have close loved ones. It's like we kind of objectify celebrities in that we think we kind of own a bit of them a little bit, and we forget that they are human beings with blood flowing through their veins, that have family members, kids, moms, dads that really love them and are really grieving. And sometimes I think it's very easy to forget that, because somehow or another we feel very familiar with these people and we think that we kind of own a piece of them. And I think it's very important that we allow these people's family members to grieve peacefully, and we have to maintain a modicum of respect for the people who are no longer with us, like Shock G. So rest in peace, love, and prosperity to his family. And moving right along, I have a lot of unpopular opinions about some of the things that I've seen in the media recently. And I guess I'll start with one of the most unpopular opinions, which is Micaiah Wright, the young lady in Ohio who was gunned down by a police officer here in the past week or two. I forget exactly which day it was. But when I first saw the headline, I said, wow, now they're killing black girls. And I thought, okay, we're about to have a civil war on our hands, because like most people, I just bought into the clickbait. Black girl killed by the cops in Ohio. And then a couple of strange things happened. One, it appears that the police in Ohio are being very candid about what happened and what transpired. They're being very transparent about how things went down. They released body cam footage very quickly. They brought in outside investigative entities to investigate the situation, but it appeared to be a really bad situation for the officer involved in the shooting. I've seen several videos. I saw one video where it was a neighbor's home security system that caught the altercation on camera, and I saw several body cam videos. So if you've been living under a rock for the past 2 or 3 weeks and you have no idea who Micaiah Bryant is, let me lay it down for you like this. A video surfaced of a young lady who apparently was accosted by 2 or 3 other young ladies. I think Micaiah was 15 or 16. The jury's still out on that. I've gotten 2 different stories. One says she was 15 and one says she just turned 16. Either way, she's a very young girl. She was accosted by a couple of girls from school. So she goes home. She lives in a foster home. She goes home, tells her parents about it. The girls apparently followed her home. And the parents and the young lady, I don't know who, called the police officers. They called the cops. I'm being harassed. The cops show up. And the videos that I saw, the young lady, Micaiah, comes burrowing out of the house, brandishing a weapon. And it appeared that she stabbed one girl, and you see that girl fall to the ground in the video. And one of the most noteworthy things in that video that I saw was the girl that she appeared to stab, who hit the ground after she fell. If you watch, a man or a male, I don't know if he's a man, he could be a young man, a young boy, but he appeared to be a man, came from the right side of the screen and started kicking the girl who appeared to be stabbed moments earlier. And Micaiah, after appearing to stab that young lady and knock her to the ground, she turned around to a young lady who was wearing pink and drew back what appeared to be a knife and was about to stab this young lady as well. And that's when she was shot 3 or 4 times. I've heard 2 cases. I've heard one, she was shot 3 times, and I've also heard that she was shot 4 times. At this point, it's inconclusive. I haven't read a coroner or a medical report or anything like that. I haven't seen autopsy or none of that information has been released yet. So I'm not entirely sure. It's 3 or 4 times this young lady was shot. Now, the unpopular opinion that I have in the black community is that the officer did his job. Because if I'm the parent of the young lady in the pink, I feel like this officer was a hero because it appeared that this young lady was about to be stabbed to death. It looked like the knife was being wielded with lethal force. It appeared that, and in the officer's defense, and mind you, I'm somebody who is very vocal about the mishaps and the outright murder of black people at the hands of the police. I just don't think this is one of those cases. And I think this is where we get, in the black community, I think this is where we get a bad rap because we will jump on the bandwagon just because this person was black. At the end of the day, if I'm an officer and I pull up onto a scene and I see what appear to be women fighting and I see a weapon, someone who appeared to use this weapon once and who is going to use it again and appear to be using lethal force, I think this is one of those incidents where the officer's discretion should be trusted because it appeared that that young lady was going to do serious damage to the young lady in the pink. And once again, as a parent, I like I said, I'm torn. I'm torn because if I'm the young lady in the pink, if I'm that young lady's mother, I would be very happy about the way that this cop handled the situation and the way that he handled it quickly. There are tons of comments on social media that are saying he should have shot for the leg or he should have pulled his taser. Well, if you watch the video that I watched, it all transpired rather quickly. And I don't know about you, but I've never been in a situation where I was the authority figure with a pistol and I came up onto a scene where I was supposed to defuse the situation and it went bad before I got an opportunity to gather any information and to really put down some sort of mediation between the two parties. Because where I came into the video at, I couldn't tell who was who. I didn't know which person was a child. I didn't know which person was the aggressor. I just know I saw one young lady with a weapon and she appeared to be the aggressor. And I protected the people who appeared to be victims. Only later do we find out information that says that this young lady was followed home from school. She was accosted and maybe she was distraught. Maybe she was desperate as to why she was coming after these young ladies with the blade. But you need to understand this, and don't quote me on this as a blanket statement for every single state because different states have different laws. But oftentimes, once a person is not engaging you, once a person is no longer advancing on you, in the eyes of the law, they are no longer a threat, and you're not defending yourself, now you are committing the crime of assault. For those of you in Facebook land who can't hear the drops, I just put a boo on that because that seems foul, the way the law is written. Because what that says is A guy can come, he can assault me, beat me up, kick my ass, and then if he turns away from me after he kicked my ass, I can't go after him to defend myself, or like most of us men would believe, I can't get any retribution after this guy assaulted me because he turned away from me. So if a person turns away from you after they've assaulted you or after they've accosted you, you are supposed to contact the authorities, and you're supposed to turn that matter over to the authorities. That's the way you avoid being prosecuted for assault after you've been assaulted. So if the person isn't advancing on you, you do not have the right to do violence on them. And I think a lot of us don't understand things like that. And that's why we look at this situation. And I blame the media somewhat because they use like incendiary language. The word, for those of us who didn't make it to the 5th grade, the word incendiary simply means to excite or inflame. So the media loves to use incendiary language, like 16-year-old black girl killed by white cop. That because that gets attention. That's how they get their ratings. They have to use shock value. And who's more prone to responding to something that was put out there for shock value? Who's going to bite that bait? Who's going to bite the bone? Who's going to take the bait? Well, the people who have been eating a little bit of shit here in this country as of recently. And when I say as of recently, I mean the past 200 or 300, 400 years in this country. It's easy to get black people riled up. It's very easy to get black people riled up because most black people on a daily basis deal with a copious amount of bullcrap in the United States of America. And it's a part of it. And most of us know it as God's simple truth. I know that when I leave my house as a black man, there's no shortage of situations that I could find myself in to where I could wind up in jail or I could wind up shot by a cop. I say a prayer, I kiss my family, and I go on about my business. Hopefully today it isn't me. Yesterday, Trayvon Martin. Today, Arshawn Wade. That's one of my fears when I leave the house. If I see a police officer, I naturally have hey, he will murder me, he'll kill me, and he'll get off of it. Because that's what the mainstream media has showed me. That's what social media has showed me. So when I leave the house, I don't see police officers as my friends. So when I'm watching social media or I'm scrolling social media or I'm watching the news and I see 16-year-old black girl killed by white cop, you better believe that jumps right out at me. You better believe that tugs at my heartstring. You better believe that does not sit right in my spirit. The first thing I think is, wow, now they're killing our women. It's one thing when we're out there and we're facing the wolves. Most men are okay with leaving their house facing the wolves. But when you think about your family, leaving the house and having to face the wolves as a man, as a protector, as a provider, hunter-gatherer, that is very unsettling. Because I believe in my heart and I know in my heart that I am equipped to handle whatever manner of bullcrap I find myself in when I leave the house. Although I know that it's waiting, I'm prepared to deal with it. And I only feel like my family's prepared to deal with it if I'm there. If I'm not there when my children are at school, when my wife's at work, when my mother's at home knitting, I am afraid for them because I don't feel like they will be able to handle themselves commensurately in a situation with the authorities. Because let's face it, people, most of the time we're not talking about the creeps. We're not talking about the creeps anymore. We have to remember there are creeps out there in the world. But we spend so much time trying to convince the cops to stop killing us that we forget about the other threats that are out there. And so when I have a situation like Ma'Khia Bryant being killed in the middle of a fight where a knife is brandished, and the mainstream media is coining it a Black Lives Matter situation, I have a serious problem with that. I take issue with that because it's not a Black Lives Matter situation. This is a situation of ignorance. People who are ignorant of the law, people who are ignorant of the implication of their actions. Because somebody should have known that that young lady wasn't supposed to leave the house with that weapon. Someone should have known, after we call the cops, we're going to batten down the hatchets and we're going to wait for the authorities. It's like I tell my children, hey, if you're going to hit back, you can't come tell dad. You can't tell and hit. You have to either take matters into your own hands or you come tell dad. But you can't get your lick back and tell. And that's pretty much one of my philosophies for life. I don't think you should be able to do both. I don't think you should be able to conduct yourself in the manner of a gangster and then also call the police officer whenever things get bad for you. So I feel like this was a situation that was unfortunately, and I'd be remiss to say that I reluctantly say this, but young Ma'Khia Bryant's demise was brought on by her own ignorance. Her own ignorance of the law and her own ignorance of the implication of her actions. And that's not to say that she deserved to be killed. That is not to say that at all. I think that is the worst thing that happened in this situation. My heart goes out to her family. My heart also goes out to that police officer's family because he was put in a hell of a situation. Do I stop and wonder what's going on and ask some questions and hopefully this young lady doesn't kill this other young lady in the blink of an eye? Or do I act with lethal force against someone who appears to be doing something very, very dangerous? And he had to make that decision in a split second. We have to remember, at the end of the day, everybody isn't out to murder somebody. Do you understand that? Like, that's a very serious thing. And sometimes people treat it very lightly. They handle these things trivially, like murdering someone isn't a big deal. Like, that's not going to be on that guy's conscience. Like, he's going to be able to look at his wife and children every day and be okay with the fact that he killed a kid. So while we want to make sure that people know that Black Lives Matter, we also have to make sure that people understand that sometimes messed up situations happen. Because that young officer who had been on the force for 2 years was put in an impossible situation. And he had to make a terrible decision in a fraction of a second. And I'm not caping up for police officers here. That's not what I'm doing. I'm talking about one single incident that shouldn't be looked at the same way that we look at other situations. There have been tons of other situations that are Black Lives Matters oriented. Tons of bad shootings done by police officers. I'm just saying that in the case of young Ma'Khia Bryant, I don't think it was a bad shooting. It was a bad situation. I think that the cop was justified in the shooting, but at the end of the day, it was still a bad situation. And I don't think that there was a good decision to be made there. Don't shoot, and maybe the young lady in the pink gets murdered. Shoot, and the young lady, Ma'Khia Bryant, gets murdered. At the end of the day, it appeared that somebody was going to lose their life in that instance. And I think that we need to be able to look at things objectively, especially intelligent adults. We should be able to look at things objectively. We should be able to set aside our personal feelings, and we should be able to look at the information and decide, what would I have done in this situation? And I'll tell you, as a parent, as a husband, I have no idea what I would have done. There's a part of me that says that I would have done exactly what he would have done. And then there's another part of me that would have said, maybe I'd hesitate. Maybe I wouldn't have taken that shot. If I had the knowledge that these were children when I was coming out here, maybe I wouldn't have taken that shot. Do we know that he had the knowledge that these were teenagers when he came there? I don't know. That information wasn't revealed. The 911 call didn't say that there were young girls out here fighting. It said a woman with a knife. These girls are trying to fight me with a knife. And I don't know if it was Ma'Khia. Some sources are saying that Ma'Khia Bryant was the 911 caller. Other sources are saying that the other young ladies called the officers after Ma'Khia brandished the knife. So there's a whole lot of he said, she said in this situation. There's a whole lot of back and forth. But based on the fact that the mainstream media is framing this as a cop killing another black person, That doesn't sit well with me. Like I said, it's incendiary language, and I think the mainstream media is doing what they've always done, which is play on the emotions of black people, get black people riled up, get black people to think and behave irrationally so that they can be treated, so that we can be treated more disrespectfully than we already have in this country. Moving right along, shout out to Micaiah Bryant and her family. I know it's a bad situation. Also, shout out to the officer involved in the shooting. It's a bad situation for everybody involved. I hate that it happened. I hope that some peace and some healing can come to all families involved. Moving right along, Dante Wright. Now, this is a bad shooting situation. Here is a Black Lives Matter situation. But black people, stop marching. Listeners on Facebook, you didn't hear the bomb drop. But if you're listening on Podbean, Spotify, or YouTube, I have to drop a bomb on that. Black people, stop marching. First, black people, let's get intelligent about what it is that we need to do. We need to get the laws changed. Marching isn't going to change the law. Hell, voting damn near won't even change the law. If you really want to be about some action, here's another unpopular opinion here at the Angry Nerd Camp. Voting doesn't change anything. Bullets do. There's an ancient African proverb that says, the slaves that were whipped the easiest got whipped the most. It's just as simple and as plain as that. Nobody wants any drama with somebody who's going to fight back. Has anybody who grew up in the 90s, do you remember bullies? Bullies now have typewriters and keyboards or whatever, and they text and they send memes and emojis to bully. When I was growing up, bullies gave you a black eye, a busted lip, kicked you in the ass, things of that nature. So anybody who grew up in the 90s, if you remember bullies, do you remember standing up to your bully? I won't say my bully's name because there are people who listen to this show who know who he is, and I won't say his name because he may not be the person he was when he was a little asshole at Sam Houston Elementary School. But I'll never forget the day that I turned around and I hit him right in his mouth. I hit him in his mouth. We thought it was over with. He didn't stop being a bully. He was still a bully. He was still a jerk kid. He was still an a-hole. But he was no longer a bully and an a-hole to me. And in this country, black people have yet to stand up to the bully that is the United States government. Oh, we'll march. We'll sing songs and we'll snap peas and we'll shuck chef a roll and wade in the wall. We'll do all that. We'll do all that. But we will not loke up. We won't do that. When you want something in this country, the only thing that the United States government respects is the stick. The United States government doesn't even respect the carrot. For those of you who don't understand the mafia terminology there, you either use the carrot to lure someone into doing what you want them to do, or you use the stick to beat someone into doing what you want them to do. The United States doesn't look too fondly on carrots. The only reason the United States doesn't do anything to any of the people around the country, around the world, is because they have pistols too. They have nuclear warheads too. All these little obscure countries, or as one of our former presidents referred to them as, shithole countries, that's all they want to do is get their hands on a nuke. Because now I have a seat at the table. You have to listen to me or else. But as long as you're singing songs and dragging your feet and marching and painting murals and doing all these foolish little symbolic things, these little symbolic gestures of progressiveness, and it's bogus. It's spurious. It's the illusion of evolution. We haven't gone past anywhere. Only thing is now we see it. We used to hear about it back in the day. Now we see black people getting their head beat in, getting their ass kicked, getting murdered, getting killed, being disrespected. And at this point in 2021, I don't blame white people and I don't blame the United States government. I blame black people, because at this point in time, we should be intelligent enough as a group of people who generate a tremendous amount of revenue on a yearly basis. We are far too intelligent to still be walking around talking about we're going to march, we're going to sit in, we're going to boycott. No, we need to buy some weapons and we need to stand our ground. We need to bring back the days of the Black Panthers. See, when you hear the word black, you automatically think that that group is against white people, and that's not the case, white people. All power to the people was the chant. The Black Panther Party was created to police the police against black people. We're going to stand here and exercise our right to bear arms. We're going to exercise our right to be so many feet away from this situation and make sure that that young man doesn't get murdered. That's what they were doing in the 60s. The Black Panther Party started in 1966. There was a need to monitor the police when they interacted with black people in 1966. And there's still a need to monitor the police when they encounter black people in 2021. And most people don't understand that 55 years later, we still have a need to police the police when they interact with black people. Well, the only reason that the police respected the Black Panther Party is because these brothers were standing there in a military formation with weapons. They weren't out there marching, asking for something. Please give us something. They were standing their ground and they were saying, you're not going to harm any other person from my community. Something more noteworthy than that, they were about community empowerment. Do you know that the WIC program that most women who have children in this country partake in was created by the Black Panther Party? The concept of the WIC program was created by the Black Panther Party. It wasn't all about toting pistols and wearing leather coats and talking crazy to the cops every chance you got. It was about true community empowerment. And a real community needs a vanguard. And people in the black community and the low-income community at large, we do not have that vanguard. The police officers are supposed to be that vanguard. We're supposed to be protected from the criminal element by the cops. I don't know about you, but I haven't seen any remnants of organized crime the way it was back in the day. It appears that the cops are the organized criminals now. And I need other men in the community to band together so that we can protect ourselves against the criminals with badges. The law has to get changed. First thing we need to do is we need to lock up. We need to bear arms. We need to organize. And we need to make sure that anytime a black person is pulled over by the cops, that somebody from the community is there on the scene with a weapon to make sure that these people do not murder one of the members of our community. And like I said, I know this isn't a popular opinion. Arshawn, it sounds like you're telling people to bear up arms against the police. I am. For some strange reason in this country, we believe that the police are infallible, that the police are above the Constitution, that the police are exempt from the laws established by the Constitution. In other countries, if a police officer is getting down wrong with a citizen, other citizens will come and beat that police officer's behind. I've seen videos of that in Europe. I've seen videos of that in France. France is in Europe. Well, I've seen videos of that in London. I've seen videos of that in France. I've seen it in Italy. I've seen these police officers in other countries who decide they're going to knock a patch of hair out of the top of somebody's head, unjustly get their asses beat. Because, hey, you're a cop and we respect you, but you're doing wrong. We don't have that mentality in the United States of America. We believe that anybody who drives the black and white and anybody who wears that uniform and they have PD at the end of their title, their ice is colder. Everything they do is right. And that is not the case, because these are still human beings. And one thing that we know about human beings is that we are flawed, we are erred, we make mistakes. And from time to time, we need to be checked. And police officers are no different. But if we don't have men who have the testicular fortitude to band together, lock up, and make sure that the police stop killing us, this is going to keep, it's shooting fish in a barrel. It's going to continue to happen because it's never stopped. The Black Panther Party, once again, I'll say this, the Black Panther Party was established in 1966 to police the police when they encounter a black person. 2021, we still have a need. We have a supremely unique need to police the police nowadays. Holding a camera isn't enough. Put the camera down and buy a gun. Put the cameras down, put your phone away, and pull out your strap. It's what needs to happen. You need to stand firm, read your city ordinance, whatever it is, whatever the distance it is, a civilian needs to be away from a situation to not be deemed obstructing an officer of the law. Get that distance away with your shotgun or your sidearm and ask questions. Hey, what's going on, officer? What seems to be the problem? If you're in an open carry state, great. You need to have a pistol on your hip. Every black man needs to have a gun, and every black man needs to have a shotgun. You need to have a pistol and a shotgun, and we need to be in communication with the other men in our communities. Not just black. In our community, most of the time in the low-income communities, we don't have weapons to protect our homes. That's a problem. We need to put these weapons together. We need to put our minds together. And Dante Wright won't be getting shot with a gun that some lady thought was a stun gun. We need to stop waiting for the people who enjoy knocking patches of hair out the top of our heads. We need to stop waiting for them to save us. We need to save our damn selves, and we can only do that by leveling the playing field. You remember the watching Westerns? Anybody ever? I'm a big fan of like John Wayne, even though I know he was a racist, John Wayne movies and Westerns and Bonanza. I'm a big fan of all of that era because I felt like that was the manliest era there was because it was all respect. Everybody had a cannon on their hip. And when everyone has a gun on their waist, it's all about respect because I know that any man in this place has the ability to take my life. They would have a duel because you called a man a liar. You called me a cheater in poker. Come on, let's take 10 paces in turn. It's a very different environment when the playing field is level, when everyone has a gun. That's the only thing that they're going to respect. They'll come out when you do a protest and they'll drive cars into the protest. They'll tear gas the protest. They'll beat your ass at the protest. Well, we seen little Kyle Rittenhouse came down with his AK-47 to the protest. He didn't get shot. Why? They thought twice about engaging this young man who had a high-powered rifle on him. You can make it about black and white if you want to. They didn't lock up on Kyle Rittenhouse because they seen he had that damn on him. Oh, it's a different interaction when everybody's standing around with the damn. They said, Arshawn, what's a damn? Obviously, you never had a gun put on you before because when you see somebody ump that thing on you, first thing you say, damn, hold on. So when everybody's standing around asking the police officers, hey, what's going on? What's the problem here? And you had that damn in clear sight and the people are right there and they can see I have this and I'm ready to use it. If you do anything to that brother, you make sure that you follow all of the letters of the law when you handle that brother right there. It's going to be a misunderstanding out here. See, when we come to situations with that energy, but we live in a real We live in a real weak ass time right now where people aren't willing to do that. People will see an injustice happening. They'll roll their window up so that you can't see them behind the tent, and they'll look forward and drive past it. That's not my business. Well, think on this and put this fat on your head right here. It's not you today, because you're just an average citizen out there living your life. Lo and behold, you encounter one of these overzealous, possibly racist, ready to blow somebody away cops. You're going to wish that one of your community members was standing there with a gun, making sure that everything went okay. See, I understand that I have a very simplistic view of things, but it makes this kind of sense to me. I remember once upon a time, story time with Uncle Arshawn. Check this out. Once upon a time, I remember being in jail, and there was a situation where the color lines had been crossed. So guys that wear blue and guys that wear red decided that one guy that wears red and one guy that wears blue needed to fight. Well, how are we going to do this? They said, well, you guys get 3 guys, we'll get 3 guys. And those 3 guys will stand around and make sure that nothing bad happens. So we got equal guys on both sides. We got 2 guys who are about to what we call get down. And after they got done doing what they needed to do, life went back to normal. But I wonder if one side had had a few more bodies than the other side, would they have handled things as diplomatically? The answer is no. If I have 10 guys on my team and you have 2, guess what? You guys just got rat packed, or you got to pack up. One of the two. Either you're going to get Peter rolled, or you're going to have to pack your things and you're going to have to leave, because we have the numbers. But when the playing field is level, we have to come to the table and we have to make negotiations, and we have to figure out how we're going to live together. Too many black people don't own guns. That's why Dante Wright was killed by a lady, and her excuse was that I thought it was a stun gun. Oh, moving right along. Let's get on to something lighter. Shout out to the Wright family. I hope that they can find some peace. I hope at the very least they get some money out of the situation. I know it's cold comfort, but it's comfort nonetheless. So I often share unpopular opinions about people who are popular to other folks. One of those opinions was about the new relationship guru, or new to me or new to us. I don't know where he came from, but he came out of the blue, and he has very good information. But he did say something that got under my skin and ruffled my feathers to a young lady, which everything else he said was great. I just wish he had gave her some context and gave her some perspective. But Kevin Samuels. Here's another, I think this is actually a W for black people, but I watched Kevin Samuels on the Joe Budden podcast this past week, and I have to change my opinion. When you're presented with new information, as I learned watching, I got this information from DJ Vlad. When you're presented with new information, you have to assess that information, and if the old information is inaccurate or it is obsolete, then you can it and you go with the new information. And I believe that Kevin Samuels is actually a solid guy. I think Kevin Samuels is a solid guy, and I think that oftentimes we get put off by his demeanor or maybe his delivery. But regardless of the fact of how he presents the information, he presents ironclad information in the arena of men and women relations. And some of his philosophies are a bit extreme, but I haven't heard him tell one lie yet. I haven't heard him say one thing that I disagree with when it comes to how most African American women behave themselves in romantic relationships, or the grandiose idea of who they are that they have. There are a lot of black women who have a misconception about the value that they actually hold when it comes to a relationship. Most black women don't bring the relationship currency to the relationship that they think they have, that they think they bring. And Kevin Samuels expresses that, I think, in an intelligent way. I think he does that in a very smart way, in a clever way. And I think he maintains a modicum of manhood when he does it as well. I've heard people say things like, oh, him being soft, but they're going to say that about any handsome brother in a suit. You know, if you're in a suit, most people are going to have that, you know, and you're clean shaven and everything like that. Some people are going to have that opinion of you in the black community. But, excuse me, I haven't heard him say anything that was unrealistic. Oftentimes, we have a problem with criticizing women because most of us are raised by single moms. And so when we look at the single mom, I think subconsciously we view her as our mom. And here's the dichotomy, because that can one, be the reason why I treat you badly if I had a mom who was a piece of crap. And on the same side, I'll treat you like a piece of crap, but I'm not critical of you either because you represent mom to me. But do you get where I'm going with that? It's like the dichotomy is, I love mom with all my heart, but mom's a piece of crap. But most people won't say my mom's a piece of crap. It is so easy to say, Dad, oh, my daddy ain't this, my daddy ain't that, my dad wasn't there. But no one criticizes mom, and no one holds mom to any type of standard. And most women have a grandiose idea of who they are and how valuable they are. Most women think that because they have a vagina and they have a booty and they have breasts, that's all they need. They need to bring their vagina, their booty, and their breast. Boom. And now I got whatever man I want. And it's just not the case. I was talking with a friend girl of mine earlier, and I was telling her that, well, here's the problem. The value of vagina has significantly decreased. There is not the premium on vagina that there used to be. It just isn't. I mean, if you're really down on your luck, you could drop $40. Everybody's got $40. And if you've been on Plenty of Fish, Tinder, I don't know, Moco Space, there's always going to be some girl who sends you an inbox and says, $, P2P, pay to play. I didn't know what that meant at first. Found out. And I had to appropriately tell her, like, have you seen my picture? Like, do I look like the kind of guy who's going to give you $40? You should give me $40. I'm a handsome devil. I'm just saying. I don't think that I should ever have to trick on a girl. Maybe when I get too old that I'm not good looking no more, but I still think I'm going to be one of those real handsome old dudes too. So I don't think I'll ever have to be paying for a girl outright like that. Like, here's $40 to do a dirty deed with me. I don't think I'll ever be in that boat. But the simple fact that the market is there to spend $20, $30, $40 on a young lady, the value of vagina is just not what it used to be. Once upon a time, a guy would bend over backwards for a young lady. He would wait months, a year. A guy would pine after a woman from the 9th grade to the 12th grade. Bend over backwards, jump through hoops, baby please, buying corsages. Guy can't even hardly read and write good, but he's writing poetry. The color of your eyes matches me so supremely in the sky. He can't even hardly read, but he's writing poetry. We don't do any of those things to get women anymore. We don't have to do any of those things to do it to get women anymore. And with the influx of social media and Instagram models, why would I? Because everything is in your face telling you that you're not good enough. I think we're dealing with the largest case of mass low self-esteem that we've dealt with in this country. That's where I'm at with it. So when Kevin Samuels tells these women, like, if you're an average woman, in what game does the average woman get the best dude? They don't. You're an average woman. You got 2 kids by a couple of old boys that told you they loved you back in high school. And you got a lot of college debt. You know, you got stretch marks and stuff. You know, it's like you got a whole lot of things working against you. I own, a lot of these women will say, I own my own business. I'm an entrepreneur. I graduated college and everything like that. And you're just like, so who cares? Women don't understand that when they talk to real men don't care about their money, because I'm not looking for you to take care of me. Now, when you talk to the guy who's, doesn't hold down a job, has 3 kids that he doesn't take care of, and he's looking for a place to stay, when you tell him how much money you make and all of these things that you can do for him financially, that's going to move him. But for a real man, I don't give a damn how much money you make. I don't care. A man who works and makes his own money and pays his own bills and does everything that a man's supposed to do doesn't give a damn about how much money you make. You better have a personality. One thing life's taught me, I've been in both situations. I've had girls that had kids and girls that didn't have kids. Eventually, the girls that don't have kids are going to have kids. And at the end of the day, you're going to be laid up with some girl who's got stretch marks on her stomach and across her ass and in other places, if you're unlucky, like some of my friends I've seen. Anyway, it's going to wind up to be the same. So I hope you're out there exercising your ability to laugh at jokes, be funny, be witty, be quick-witted, well-read. Hopefully you're doing some of these intangible things, because a man who's on his stuff as a man don't care about your money. And I think that Kevin Samuels is really fighting an uphill battle when he's presenting this information to these ladies, because they get lied to in the media all the time. Now you're not even allowed to tell a woman that she's not attractive. I saw a woman whose stomach looked like the second day of slavery. And they were talking about how beautiful she was and positive body image and everything like that. And all I kept thinking was, after she has that baby, her stomach's going to look like chocolate malto meal. That was the only thing I kept thinking. I was like, why are they gassing her up, telling her that she's beautiful? I mean, she may be beautiful to somebody. But when we talk about the universal beauty, like, everybody know what a bad chick is. Everybody know what a fine woman is. Everyone know, if we're sitting here and the girl that walks by and every man's head turn, that girl. We all know what that is. So why are you guys trying to beef up this woman's head as if she's that and she isn't? And I don't think it's anything wrong with knowing where you are. If you know where you are, then you have a better idea of how to get to where you want to go. But as long as you continue to tell yourself, I'm a dime and hot girl summer and everything like that, you have delusions of grandeur in your head, and you're going to set yourself up for a rude awakening, because somebody who doesn't care about any of what you're talking about is going to lay them facts out for you and let you know, baby girl, you ain't that. No, this isn't that. And I'm sorry to be the one to tell you, but that's what's going to happen. And I think that people should really start to listen to Kevin Samuels more. I'm actually a fan of Kevin Samuels now, after really watching an interview with him and watching him answer hard questions and explain some of his reasoning and explain some of his thought process and explain some of some of the experiences that he's had to get him to the place that he's at now. Some of the experiences that he's had with women, the experiences that he's had with his male clients who are looking for wives. It's all very good information. And I think that if women tear off the feminist helmet, most women are feminists. I think if they are able to rip off the feminist helmet for just a second, because feminism is just reverse misogyny. Whenever you get finished, it's not about equality. It's about shifting the power dynamic. Most feminists, make no mistake about it, most feminists do not want equality. What they want are the power dynamics transferred from men to women. And I have one thing to say before I get out of here, because I believe that the motivation is brought on by one simple thing, a term that I have coined here on the Angry Nerd podcast, and that is penis envy. That's where the feminist energy comes from. I want to be a man. I want to run the show. I want to be in power. Not I want equality. I want to run you. I'll tell you, like I told my son, this is how women deal with men typically in this country. When they have a son, once they can't control their son anymore, they put his ass out the house. When they have a husband and he doesn't do what they want him to do, they get rid of his ass too. Look, I don't have all the answers. I don't know anything. I ain't the smartest dude in the world. I don't even think I'm the smartest dude in my house. I think the smartest dude in the house is my daughter. But anyways, my name is Arshawn Wade, a.k.a. The Angry Nerd. Peace.